In this assignment, 2.7, we're going to draw the Tennessee flag. The reason behind this is we have a very good description of what the flag should look like when it's finished, as far as size relationships. So we're only given one measurement, and from that one measurement we have to read through the description and figure out how to apply that to create the final object. So we're going to create complex polygons from simple polygons. We're going to do some hatching, which layer management with hatching becomes critical, and deriving real world values from a description, which is the point of this lesson. So we're going to create an accurate to scale version of the Tennessee state flag using a description from the flag's official website. So we create a scale drawing of the Tennessee flag that is horizontally hung with the white and blue bands to the right and has a width of a blue stripe which equals 0.25 inches. That is the only dimension we are given, is right here. The blue stripe is equal to 0.25 inches. The flag must be hatched in basic red, white, and blue colors. You will be using Excel to calculate the appropriate size of each part of the flag. Your Excel file is 10 points of this assignment right here. So 10% is your Excel calculations. So if you don't do them, the best grade you can get on this is a B. So make sure you do the Excel. You will have to create an outline layer to contain all of the outlines. Each separately colored field of hatching must be on their own layer. Each layer containing hatching must be set to the same color as the hatching. Save your work as assignment 2.7.dwg. Put your border drawing in it. Explode and edit the individual elements as required, specifically the drawing name, date, drawing number. Again, make sure your name is in the drawn by space. When you are finished creating the required geometry and revising the title block, save your work, turn it in as per your teacher's instructions. Now, the hardest part about this drawing is simply going to be figuring out what they're telling you to do, because we have this official description and that's all we got. So I'm going to read a lot of it to you. An oblong flag or banner in length 1 2/3 times its width. The large or principal field of the same to be color of red. So what they just said was the length is 1 2/3 times the width. So we're going to have to start working on creating an Excel spreadsheet as we work through this. So open Excel and create a spreadsheet. You're going to want main length, main width, blue stripe width. Maybe your teacher learned to spell one of these days. White stripe and blue circle. And yeah, those are the only numbers we'll need. So the main length is what they just described to us. It is 1 2/3 times the width. So how do we put that in Excel? So let me see if I can grab this. It's not cooperating. Give me a little more room there. So, oops. I wanted main width. Main length is what they just described to us. So the main length is 1 2/3 times the width. So we click up here. we type in equals. Okay, so click in the box where we want our answer, type in equals, and that should be, we're going to need to use brackets in some of these equations, so equals 1 plus bracket 2 divided by 3 bracket times our main width. So C4, we just click on the box and it puts it in for us, and then hit enter. So we've got our first equation in there, and yes, it says 0. That's perfectly fine. So, but the said flag or banner ending at its free or outer end in a perpendicular bar of blue of uniform width running from side to side. So what they're talking about is this here, the bar running from side to side. Separated from the field of red by a narrow margin of white stripe uniform width, the width of the white stripe to be 1/5 of that of the blue bar. So for that one, we can come down and so our white stripe, click on the answer box for the white stripe and type in equals blue width stripe, so equals, click on that one, it enters C5 for us, divided by 5, enter. So now we have that formula. The main width we'll find here in a minute. I don't think we missed it yet. So the width of the white stripe is 1/5 of that of the blue bar, which we just put in there, and the total width of the bar and stripe together shall be equal to 1/8 the width of the flag. So for our main width, since we're having to calculate everything off the blue stripe width, so our main width, we come over here to our main width, and this time it's going to be 1/8 the width, so we have to 1/8 the width of the bar and the stripe, so we have to make this equal to 8 times parentheses C5, which is the blue width stripe, plus C6, close our parentheses, and enter. So now we have that formula. And the blue circle, smaller field of blue separated by a circular margin or a white strip, with the white strip's going to be the same size as the white stripe. The breadth of the diameter of the blue field, exclusive of the white margin, shall be equal to 1/2 the width of the flag. So our blue circle is going to be equal to C4. No. The main width, so C4 divided by 2. Enter. So the only thing we're missing here for all these equations to work is the one dimension that they gave us in the beginning. So the blue stripe equal to 0.25. So for our blue stripe width, we can just simply come up here and type it in. 0.25, press enter, and all of our values that we need show up. So now we're ready to actually start our drawing, now that we know what size everything needs to be. So there's a little bit more about the stars that becomes important, which we will visit when we get to them, but I'm going to read over it real quick. So inside the blue circular field shall be 3 5-pointed stars of white, distributed at equal intervals around the point, the center of the blue field, and such size and arrangement that each point of each star shall approach as closely as practical without actually touching one point of each of the other two centered around the point of the field. And 2 outer points of each star shall approach as nearly as practical without touching the periphery. The arrangement of 3 stars shall be such that the centers of no 2 stars shall be in line parallel to either side or end of the flag, but intermediate between the same. The highest star shall be the one nearest the upper confined corner of the flag. So this one's going to be the highest. When you draw a line from the point here through the point here, it should just go out in space. It should not point at any of the corners. Same with this. When you draw it through there, it should not point at any corner. And the same with this one. When you draw a line through it, it should, if you get them lined up pointed at any of the corners, it's wrong. So that's what we need to know about the stars. Size, we're going to have to determine that with the software. So now we're ready to move into AutoCAD. So yeah, let me put that back up there. So that's what we're going for. So let's get drawn in AutoCAD. And so the first thing we need to do is create our outline. First of all, go to your layer properties, open your layer properties, and create your layers. You're going to need a blue circle layer that's blue. You're going to need a blue stripe layer that's blue. You're going to need an outline layer that's white. You're going to need a red field layer that's red. You're going to need a stars layer that's white. You're going to need a white circle layer that's white. And you're going to need a white stripe layer that's white. So create your layers and then we'll be ready to get going. So now that I've got all that ready to go, I'm going to activate my outline layer and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to grab a rectangle tool. I want it to start at 0, 0. Oops. And it's going to be four tab okay, did that backwards. .4 tab 4, and I got that backwards. Okay, delete. So one last try. 0 tab 0, enter. Four tab 2.4, enter. So now we've got our outline. So now we can come over with, well, it's a block. We don't want a block. So we need to explode our rectangle. So now we can work on individual parts of it. So we're going to grab our line. We're going to tell it we want to offset 0.25. So that's our blue line, which obviously, here, let me pull the Excel file back up for you. So our blue stripe width is 0.25, and then our white stripe width is going to be 0.05. So that's what I'm going to work on next. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come over here and select our line. Oops. Going to tell it we want it to offset. This time 0.05. Enter. Make sure we're on the right side of it. Click OK. Click Escape. So now we've got our blue and our white lines, but obviously they're not on the right layer. So this line, I have to make it full size so I can show it for you. So that's our blue stripe, and then this one becomes our white stripe. So let me turn my outline layer off and see if that came out right. So it did not. So we've got to fix that. So let me turn that back on. So So we still need our circle, so we can move this out of the way a little bit maybe. And we can draw another line. I'm going to use our snaps. Guess I don't have the one turned on I need, so we can come down to our snap tool and probably need a parent intersection, so let's try it again. So get our line, go from that corner to this corner, hit escape. Let's see what our blue circles supposed to be 1.2, so we can go get a circle, center diameter, snap to our midpoint, tell it 1.2, enter, and we can use our offset again, and obviously you don't want to snap to the wrong thing. We've already got the correct distance. Select our object to the outside. So that's basically most of the geometry that we need to draw for this thing. So now we don't need that line, so we can delete it. So we've already created most of the flag. So now we're going to want to create our hatching. So this is why creating the layers was important. We can go to our blue circle, and we can come over here and get our hatch tool. Bring up our hatch, and the default looks like that. That's not what we want. We want a solid blue, so we want solid. Close, and then we can go over to our blue stripe, come get our hatch tool again, come back, color our stripe, escape, oops, and we can just go right on down the line. So we need our red field. We can grab our hatch. This is why putting layers, creating all the layers and creating the correct colors is important. It makes it easy when you get to this part. So continuing on, we need our white circle, so we can hatch, come click on our white circle, close our hatch, and now we just need to get our white stripe. So white stripe, hatch, come over here. Yeah, so that's most of it, other than our putting our border in, and of course our stars. So as the flag doesn't normally have a white border around it, that was why we created that on an outline. We can turn that off and it looks more like it's supposed to. So some of the reasons we do things on layers. So now we've just got to create our stars. So let's go get on our stars layer, activate that. And how do we draw a star? That's kind of I'm going to start with placing a line, and guess I should have left that line that was in there. I don't have anything to snap to. I might have my snaps off. Let's try it again. Those snaps on. I should be picking it up, but the hatching is probably messing with it, so let me shut the circle off and move back to my stars layer. So let me grab a line. And I guess I'll have to put the line back. So I can go from the center of it. And I want this to be straight, so I'm going to use orthogonal. So I want it to be quite accurate. So now I don't need this line anymore. But I do want this to be just a little bit longer than what it is. So, how do we make a star? Good question. So, we can go up here and grab our polygon tool, and we're going to create a 5-sided polygon, which I'm going to grab the geometric center. I want it inscribed. And I want it really close to that length. I think I made that slightly too big. I'm going to have to just redo it. So I already stretched my line. So it's slightly longer than geometric center, so we'll just catch it from the center, inscribed. I'm just going to bring the point right to there. Since I already stretched it, by the time I move it back, should line up. So there's our shape. I think I'm done with this. So how do we turn that into a star? So we'll just go get us a line, and we'll go from one point. Gotta turn my orthogonal off, F8, and then draw the star inside of it. Then we'll come get the trim tool, and we'll come get rid of the geometry that we don't need around the outside. Remove the geometry we don't need around the inside. So there's our star, and it's obviously oriented incorrectly. So let's bring our drawing back up, and notice that we want it off that way. Ours is this way, so that's not quite how we would like it. So let me pull this down. So we're going to come get our rotate tool, and I'm gonna, well, I must have clicked on the wrong thing. That said trim. So I want my rotate tool. We want to make sure we get the entire star. So we selected our objects. I'm going to pick here as my base point, and I think it looked something like that. Let's get our drawing back up here. I think a little bit too far, so I think it needs to, that needs to angle downward slightly. So let's do it again. That's probably a little more accurate. So never hurts to look at your drawing and look at what you're doing. A lot of times it'll get you most of the way. So that's pretty close. So now we've got one star. What do I do with this mess? So let's go find this our array tool. So we'll come get our, that's our, we want the polar array. Make sure we select our object again. We want the and I don't think I want 6 stars. Let's try 3. Let's try it again. Polar array. Select center point. 3. Enter. So we're going to use our center line and our snaps. I don't know why it's not snapping. See, I've got my midpoint on, so it should be. So there we go. And we're gonna use orthogonal F8. Make sure it's accurate. So now we have that line. So now we're ready to create our stars. So for a star, we can come over, we can get our polygon tool, and we're going to want to create a pentagram, which is 5-sided. We're going to create an inscribed, and that's not where I wanted to create it from, so let's try it again. Pentagram. I'm going to start at the center, inside, and I want to have just enough room to move it a little bit, so I'm going to call it there, and then I'm going to come up here and get my move tool, select my object, press enter, and I'm going to pick its endpoint, and I'm going to move it just a wee bit. Oops. So move object, enter. I'm going to snap to it, and then I'm going to shut my snaps off so it'll quit snapping to things, and that's about the distance I want between everything. So got a little bit of distance up here, a little bit of distance down there, so everything should be good. Now I'm going to delete my 2 construction lines, and now I'm going to turn this into the star. So grab the line tool, turn my snaps back on, turn orthogonal off, F8, and then start going around creating the lines we need to make the star. So now we've got it created, we can grab our trim tool, remove the parts we don't need, so there's our star. It's not placed the way it needs to be, so let's look at our drawing. Our drawing, we're going to move our star over to here. This is at a slight angle from vertical, so that gives us an idea of what to do. So we can come grab our rotate tool, select all of our star, enter. Why did we? Somehow we ended up with trim, so we'll do it again. Rotate, select objects, enter. So our base point, yeah, it looks really close to what we want. Let's take a look at our thing again. So yep, that's about what we want. So now we can just, rather than draw more stars and try and place them, we can just go grab our polar array tool, select our objects, make sure we get our whole star, press enter. The center point of our array, we got to be careful here. We don't want to snap to our star. We want to be just a little bit away from it. So it leaves a little bit of distance. We don't need 6 of them. We can tell it we want 3. And And we've got a little bit of distance between the edges of our stars, and a little bit of distance between them, so it's close enough. So now, since we're still on our star layers, we can come over, get our hatch tool, hatch our stars, close that, turn our blue circle back on, and there's our completed flag. The only thing you need to do now, besides save it of course, is insert your title block and update all the information. So that's how we create something with a very little information other than a description. See you in the next one.